where one of the dragon warrior women comes into the throne room in such a threatening manner, carrying a type of medieval style net with a child, and asks if she can kill the child in the throne room, thus making no heir for the throne. The new King Lannis relative holds his hand up so that she doesn't do anything, since he is in charge of all the allies and the great battle that they just conquered without her being even prepared for this. Tells her that she must disown the child and never, ever claim the child as hers again. The child becomes a bastard like Jon Snow. Jon Snow may take the child, or they can kill it right now. Jon Snow would agree to take the child, and the child is therefore, in front of everyone as witnesses, stripped of land and title, never ever to have a claim to the throne. So that's the alternate scene. But again, that all depends on what Series 8 has. She is to sign the document, which she reluctantly does. She has almost trouble signing because her hands are shaky because of all that has transpired. Everything she's worked for has now come to an end. Then she is forced to return to Kingdom of Meereen. But how can she return? None of the ships are available for her because they've all been burned, except for those that fled from the site because the King of Iron Islands had bombarded all her ships, including her flagship.
Before you say another word, let me make one thing clear. My entrance here is not obviously on pleasure. My entrance here is because I hereby bring charges that I see many violations. The Lannis King then slowly walks about, looking at both Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen and Jon Snow. My first charge is that a certain pact with the former King Lannis has been violated. Therefore, it gives me right, and he holds up a scroll, to enter the way I have. Second, that unruly and undignified and unjustified actions to which are evil to innocent people of King's Landing, which affects, whether you think so or not, other kingdoms, by allowing savage race in loincloth, the Dothraki, to rape women and innocent young girls. Then he points with a stern finger at Daenerys. And did you not, according to what I've read, hear your husband long ago, as it is so documented, and perhaps you weren't paying attention then, as you weren't now, that your husband once said in the Valyrian language that he would so boldly rape the women? How come you didn't even think about this? So subtle was your being so power hungry, much like your brother Viserys, although he had his coming because he went so vastly fast-paced at it. Yet you were subtle about it and hungry for the power. That does not make you a very good supreme queen for the Iron Throne of Swords, the realm of the kingdom. Then lowering his hand, putting both hands on his hip, looks about. And there is a truth to be revealed here, one that I'm sure will take you by surprise. You may not like what I have to reveal to you, but there's an old custom and saying that I once heard, the truth shall set you free. In your case, the truth will be your unknown doing. So then, it gets into the part of possibly an alternate scene regarding a certain child that had been conceived possibly between Jon Snow and Daenerys several months before the actual marriage took place. Now that we got our introduction and somewhat sentiments and pleasantries out of the way, well, pleasant for me anyway, first things first, bring Daenerys forward. Though she somewhat, shaking her arms out of the hands of those forcing her to step down from the area where she's being married in front of the Iron Throne. She knows that it might not be a good idea to put up too much of a fuss, but they allow her to walk freely. So she steps down. And at sword point, he then gives her a command. This child, and this is based on an alternate scene should one be born, is to be disowned. Now, you can either say it standing, or, though it may not be undignified to you, Daenerys, we can force you on your knees, and you'll say it one way or another. And what would you have me say? Ooh, again, attitude. I like this about you. You are a dragon queen with much fiery spirit. But just remember, one slight move, and there won't be anything left of you. So don't even think about it. Don't even attempt to grow a brain, because you obviously didn't have one before. You obviously don't have one right now, because you're too naive. And like your brother, got too power hungry, though you were very subtle about it. The fact that you made it this far is quite amazing, he says in a rude manner to her, with looking somewhat off to the right, but her eyes fixed on him and an eyebrow raised. And so she has plans for him one day, but doesn't say anything in the words. You're going to disown this child. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to be patient. I'm not going to wait for an answer. Say it. She looks to Jon Snow, then at the child being held by one of the Dragon Slayers. Say it. And they point the swords closer at her. All right. I hereby disown our child between me and Jon Snow. Jon Snow then tries to approach her, but they hold him back. No, don't. It's too late, Jon Snow. What can we do? Yes, what can you do? Says the Lannis King relative. She knows what she's doing. You need to shut. Dead man walking. Jon Snow looks at him with much anger. Therefore, upon you officially disowning your child, he is now, or she, I believe it's a he, I could be wrong, either a bastard or a son of a bitch. Well, which do you prefer? And in any case, it doesn't matter. Now then, in addition to you complying to disowning this child, I hereby decree upon our victory of having caught you off guard because you were too decadent about your wedding, which should have never taken place anyway, hereby decree that the child, this thing that you had with a dead man risen from the dead, and again this completely shocks her because she doesn't know why he's referring to Jon this way, I hereby strip of all claim to land and title. And it should be further known, while everybody in these circles about in a way, so he's pointing to everyone who are also held from trying to come to her aid at sword point. This child that has been conceived between them shall have no claim from now till the day the child should, if I decide to, or depending on what Jon Snow decides, shall never have claim to the Iron Throne of Swords for the realm of the kingdom. Anyone who attempts to make this child take the throne, even if it's not Daenerys, that child's life ends immediately. And anyone who gets in my way, because great will be our forces again. Nobody says anything. Now, one final detail needs to be covered. He looks at Jon Snow. So, dead man walking. Oh, excuse me, Jon Snow, risen from the dead. You have a choice. You can take this, and he points at the child, not knowing what to call it, child of yours and Daenerys. And when the time comes, because first we're going to be escorting her out of the city, you can take the child with you now, or we can kill the child here, and that'll pretty much end this little problem. Which do you choose? Shall we kill the child here, or do you wish to take the child with you? Because you're not going to be staying at King's Landing, I swear to you on my life for that. I'll take the child with me. Daenerys is not too happy about this either. Do take care of our child. I will, my queen. Oh, he'll take care of it, because if it ever comes back in here, it will not live. And our child is not an it. Get it right. Oh, I love your attitude. You know, if I wasn't in such a good mood, I'd kill you right now for speaking to me like this, because I am really hating Targaryens right now. But that's okay. I'll let you have this one right now, because there's nothing you can do. You can't even stick your dragon on this, because if you do, you'll just be helping those out there that want fair game to strip the flesh off the bones of whatever dragon you send out. You might get one of them, but they never miss their mark. And I guess you do love your dragons, don't you? That's what I thought. Very wise of you to be smart and not send them out. And so with that, then it is decided and finalized. Jon Snow will take this child, if one was conceived before the time of the marriage, since they had been anywhere between 3 and maybe 6 months, as the woman in red had stated, that the child will live, but as Jon Snow, a bastard, or depending on the sex of the child, not to be ever claimed by the mother ever again. And this ends this scene of the alternate tale of those who would try to give the child rightful claim to the throne, if not Daenerys.
But he points out there has no one who allows raping of women. And so she eventually comes to realize maybe this wasn't in the best interest of leading Dothraki to the King's Landing. Not that she would condone such raping, but what could she do? Because she's seen since the time she married Drogo how Dothraki didn't care where they had sex, and they would kill each other for usually no reasons at all. This hits her like reality in the face, and she now sees that her reputation has quickly diminished. The episode 1 is called The Loss of Power and Greatness. She once had it, only for about 3 days. Once the siege took place and they snuck in stealthily without her sensing anything, she not only had viewed about confirmation about those that she's never seen before or very skilled in killing dragons, so she couldn't use them, and to much horror, she sees her proud flagship on fire, and all the other ships that didn't take off with the rest of Dothraki, which only amounted to about 2/3, totally on fire with much black smoke filling the air. It is like the worst nightmare she's ever seen. And then, on top of that, looking about, sees many dead corpses, either dismembered or what have you, of the Dothraki. They are now evenly matched. Was she going to be a queen of dead bodies? Because she would be a ruler of nothing. So she knows she's been had. There's nothing that she can do, really. This is, for her, the greatest defeat that she's ever had, because she's always come out on top, but not this time. And tells her, you will use this and leave and never, ever come back. Are we clear? She doesn't say anything, just nods her head, and in much sorrow of being defeated and humiliated in the way that she was, agrees to this. Jon Snow tries to give her comfort, but she puts her hand up and simply, in a firm voice, says no, because this would be a no-win situation. Then, of course, the truth of Jon Snow comes out by the new king of the House of Lannis, that he should have remained dead, not risen from the dead by the sorceress. This suddenly surprises Daenerys and states that she did not know this. King Lannis, in a snide way, the king of the Lannis house, then says in a snide way, "Yeah, it seems you don't seem to know very much of anything, because always, if you would have been a true supreme queen, you would have been prepared before our forces to come. But you got too decadent and wanting power of the throne, therefore, this is your own undoing. Because, like your brother, who I have read about, you subtly got too greedy of the power, and until now it is your undoing."
Littlefinger is aided by Lord Varys to a secret passage area. There's no way we could have seen this coming, but I do not intend to get myself captured, Littlefinger states. Well, then may the gods be with you, and wherever it is you may go. You're not coming. No, I think that there is many things that are going to happen here, and perhaps my presence is going to be needed. I can only imagine that Daenerys is going to hold Tyrion responsible because he did not foresee this happening, and he probably will no longer be Hand of the Queen. I just have this feeling, and he's going to need someone to console, and I've always been his best friend. Well, you take care of yourself. I have no idea what's going to happen after I leave, but it is not something that I wish to be a part of or stick around on. So, with that, Lord Varys opens this passage and he makes his way out so that he can escape unnoticed while the whole place is under siege. Meantime, as Daenerys is preparing to be escorted out, she summons Tyrion and is not well pleased with everything that has happened. How could you let this happen? But I did not know of this. You are supposed to be my trusted advisor. You should have seen this. So it's a matter of trying to place blame on somebody. I mean, look what happened. I'm gone, and you're like throwing a party for the enemy while I'm gone, and they're attacking the Pyramid Palace. I forgave this once. I named you Hand of the Queen. Now, our city is under siege. I'm being forced off the throne. So, you don't think I should blame you? He doesn't say anything. What have you done? This is for the first time, though I've always been on top, and I've always come out winning. There is no reason that this should have happened. And yet you see nothing. A trusted advisor is one who advises and gives wisdom and tries to have people keep a lookout and an ear open for everything, and yet nothing has happened. I'm not going to forbid you from coming to visit, but the way I see it, I hereby strip you of being Hand of the Queen. So I take it I am to come along? No, you will not. I do not want to see you. Ever? I did not say that. I said I do not want to see you. You shall remain here. Are we clear? Yes, my queen. You may go now. So Tyrion leaves. And you can tell she's very unhappy about all that has happened.
Love nothing better than to annihilate and wipe off the face of their planet any member of Targaryen, so that no Targaryen will ever rise again. She is the only Targaryen left. No heir, or if one is born, is stripped the land and title. She's not about to do something stupid and commit genocide by summoning dragons. They get killed, and then they kill her and put her head on a pike.
As they escort her outside, many people are rude and throw rotten vegetables at her, and though she ducks, is sometimes hit either in the head or on her clothing, and her clothing, no longer beautiful, is greatly stained. The Sullied warriors come to her aid, And Lannis King does not do anything to stop them and allows them to give her shelter under their shields as she is escorted by his forces to the ships which she embarks. Then, as they see her off and the ships set sail that he had purchased for her to leave, in horror she watches as everybody seems to be happy that she is driven off, and many cheers and fanfare are given in the distance. And her knights and the Unsullied Warriors are now on board, looking pretty much like a sad group and driven off. Not all the Unsullied Warriors have been killed, and some of the knights, of course, that were not of King's Landing had been killed. And of course, she has no Dothraki. The dragons, of course, sensing that she is heading back to Meereen, take off as well. Missandei then comes up to Daenerys as she looks forward of the sailing vessel she's on, in much sadness, anger, hatred, and yet discouragement. My queen, may I speak to you? She wipes tears from her eyes. What, may I ask, would you have to say? For I have failed everyone. My queen, you have not really failed. Perhaps there is an opportunity for you at a later time. We just simply regather and maybe we can learn from this. What can we learn? Well, we still believe in you. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here with you. She hugs Missandei, who at first was reluctant, but then hugs her back. It is okay, Daenerys. Really, you're still going to be the queen of Meereen. That hasn't been stripped of you. You're just not going to be supreme queen right now. As Daenerys is being escorted out of King's Landing at sword point and spear point, a dragon slayer, female, approaches Daenerys. Wait, I want to have a word with this one. Daenerys looks her over from head to toe. Jet black hair, dark eyes, long. You're Daenerys Targaryen, she says with a slight smile. I guess you weren't expecting us from beyond the known world that you have. And then again, you always still think the world is flat. But that is okay. So, let me ease your mind. We are your nightmare from beyond the known world. She walks about, almost in a circular pattern, around Daenerys, as Daenerys kind of looks over her shoulder from one direction to another, as this other one's circling her about in a safe distance. How is it that you are supposed to be a queen hiding behind dragons? I am a real warrior. I mastered the art of swordsmanship, as well as the dragon warriors from the other areas beyond the known world that you have. And I don't hide behind dragons. I'm sure you wouldn't even know how to defend yourself if it was tried. I'd love to challenge you, for I am a woman also, not to be treacherously trusted, and not one you should misjudge. I don't need dragons. I am a dragon, in a matter of speaking. Now, I could kill you now, because I don't think you could even defend yourself. A woman with bright blonde hair, and you hide behind dragons. You probably wouldn't even know how to hold a sword if it came right down to it, she said with a snide remark. Perhaps I should kill you now. Then Lannis, who we're merely trading our skills for spices and other things, won't ever have to worry about you again. Shall I take your life now from navel to neck? You are nothing. You'll never be anything. You are worthless. You're not even a real queen. You have to hide behind creatures. If you were a real warrior at all, Daenerys, you would master a sword and take me on. But you will not win. I guarantee you this day. The Lannister relative holds his hand up. No. I already made a guarantee to her. Her life is to be spared. What? You're going to let her go? You think she's not going to try to come after you again? Oh, I'm pretty sure she will, but not right away. She loves her dragons too much. Well, count your blessings then, Daenerys, because if my path ever crossed yours, your head will not be on your shoulders, for my blade is much sharper, and it cuts very quick and deep. And she walks off. You'll have to forgive this one. She is quite the fiery-spirited lady, much like yourself, with attitude. He said last with a snide remark. Keep walking. Then the other Dragon Slayer leader, Tanaka, approaches her. You wait. I have few words. Then he bows before her. You must forgive other Dragon Slayers. They are more aggressive than I am. I was hoping to kill one of your dragons, because it'd be fair game. Strip it of its flesh, polish its bones, and have a trophy. But I made agreement. No treachery on our part, because it's not our custom. Therefore, since you love dragons, that is good. We too sometimes symbolize and like dragons, though we would love to have the fair game. And yet, I will give you this warning now. You best find a way to control and contain your dragons, because we have already made a pact and it is a done deal. I see your dragons once. You may get one of us, but we are marksmen. We never miss our mark, and nothing out here is made of wood. We are quite the metal workers, and I guarantee you, either through the mouth or through the heart, your dragon will surely fall. She doesn't know what to say. I will have my dragons locked in a special area, and I cannot attest about the third one, of course, but it will not stray too far off from where I'm at. That's as long as you understand. I see dragon, there be no more dragon. I understand. Then he bows again in a respectable manner, and she continues on. So now she knows that these strangers who she's never seen before, much like the dragon warriors who came with 20,000 men and warrior ladies each, is not messing around. So she knows what she must do once she gets to Meereen, because the dragons will obviously sense that she's heading back to Meereen and will certainly follow her.
People are cheering and there's much fanfare because they feel, in their opinion, they have defeated someone of great evil, and there will be a time of mourning for those that had been killed by the Dothraki, raped, or mistreated, to which she did nothing to stop them. For her, it is great breaking the heart of sadness. She doesn't know who to trust, and she is on the way back towards Essos, not sure what to do, because perhaps she won't even be allowed to sit on the throne of the Meereen. But Missandei, who remains faithful to her, assures her she will sit on the throne in Meereen, and that everybody still has faith in her. She may have lost, but she will rise again in much power. They can't foresee why or how, but they have a feeling this is not going to be the end. It gives her a little bit of assurance, but not by much.
So what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to have anybody's respect? They're going to see me as a failure. The Dothraki have already fled because they were no match for these strangers from beyond the known world who wear such strange armor, and I've not seen them before, these so-called dragon warriors. Well, Daenerys, I think people will come to respect you. You probably will have a time of mourning, and eventually you will gain strength from this. I do have faith in this. Daenerys kind of, in a almost like scoffing type laugh, but not as an insult, appreciates Missandei's encouragement and assurance that she gives her. You're still my friend. You always seem to know the words of wisdom. I know I shall mourn for a while, because this is something I've never experienced before. I've always never lost. This is about as bad as when the harpies ambushed the friend of mine, a great knight, and the Unsullied warriors that were with him. Is it possible I can actually survive all this? I think you can, McQueen. When we get back, because I have received this warning from one of the dragon slayers that if you do not lock your dragons up, they will kill them. Well, then we'll have to make sure that never happens. Thank you for informing me of this. I just wish I could have seen this coming. I could have sworn that when victory is ours. Maybe I did do something wrong. I don't know. I will have to do much meditation and thinking on this. Well, I'm always here if you want to talk further, Daenerys. Thank you, Missandei. She seems very sad. I think that in time, maybe, I'll be ready to talk about this, but right now I'm just not ready to talk about anything right now. I understand. I guess if you have nothing further at the moment, I shall leave you in solitude to contemplate things, and perhaps maybe eventually you'll find additional courage to plan for the future of making a comeback to those who have risen against you. Yes. And thank you, and you may go. So with that, Missandei leaves Daenerys to think by herself, looking on towards the direction of Essos, of all the sad things that have happened, the treachery that she did not foresee, the fact that the truth about Jon Snow being risen from the dead, and if she had known this, probably would have never agreed to make such a marriage. But she does not look forward to any future returns of comforts from the one that she had spent many sexual relations with before, as he will probably soon learn of her returning, and the great loss and the fall of King's Landing that she had, for at least 3 days, had control of. This is where the scene ends, and thus is the end of episode 1.